And here we have my friend Matt Johnson, oral and maxillofacial surgeon. Really great friend of mine, has been helping me a lot. Thank you so much, Matt, for everything you've done for me. Being you has been one of the best things that's ever happened to me. And so,
Appreciate it.
yeah, I just kind of wanted, your insight on my case. So, um, basically, like, you as an oral surgeon, when you look at my face, or, if you were to look at my CT scan or something, like, what do I need? Like, from my understanding, the first procedure I need at all is like the free flap to reconstruct the mouth, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, I have looked at your. We've talked a lot about your case off of this interview, obviously, and I'm very aware of your situation. And basically, what you got here is you have quite a maxillary deficiency. I mean, you have literally no bone up there. So there's just basically an opening fistula, is what we call it, an opening that goes from your mouth into the nasal cavity and that kind of thing. So you need a free flat. So but not just that, but if looking, cosmetically at the face, you could see that there's there's soft tissue deficiency. I'm seeing in the right lower lip. I'm just looking at like now. I'm just judging. So right lower lip, midline nose, and septal deficiency of the bone. So the bone's missing as well. So what you need is a several stage surgery here. One being a free flap reconstruction for which I would recommend for closing the fistula, the basically the upper separating the upper jaw from the nasal cavity, so that when you eat, you're not breathing in your food or getting congested or getting chronic sinusitis or infection. So you need that first to kind of think of it as building a house. It's kind of like building the foundation for what you need. It's not a bony flap that is currently recommended, although you could do a bony flap. In your case, you could get the same effect from a soft tissue radial forearm free flap, that's taking a small segment of your arm and using it as a tent, almost, to kind of like or a bag, if you will, or a soft layer to close that area off, which then kind of hardens down and scars down to separate the two. And then from there, I need to clarify that, not completely scars down. It's a live tissue. It's vascularized tissue. So it creates almost a real upper palate of your mouth. There's just no bone there, but it'll separate the two.
Okay.
Then from there, you just have that's your first surgery, and then you're
Alright.
looking at several other surgeries. So your nose will need soft tissue reconstruction, lower lip reconstruction, implants for teeth, because I've looked at your case and I'm aware that there's missing teeth or need for teeth for proper what we call it, basically your dimension and your distance in your mouth. You want to create the right spacing. Otherwise, the jaws kind of sit down on each other. You want them to be spaced out properly. I'm showing that sideways, like this, not on top of one another. And then, yeah, so there's several surgeries that are at play here, but the first one that's most necessary is the free flap, and then from there, the rest of them can kind of fall in play or be done in sequential order, basically, after that has healed.
Okay. And in terms of like the free flap surgery or any surgery I would have done, what are like the immediate risks, and if there are any risks, how high would they be, and would they be higher because of my condition?
Of what would be the risks? I'm sorry, of what now? Of the free flap?
Yeah, would there be any significant risk?
Yeah, so I mean, risk with any surgery include, bleeding, infection, severe bleeding, trauma that leads to ultimately, I mean, you could lose respiratory arrest, die. I mean, every surgery can have the worst case scenario of that. But more specifically to this surgery, you could have failure of the free flap, meaning that you harvest the free flap, you put it in the mouth. 2 days later, it's blue and it doesn't survive, and then you have to remove it, almost like a debridement surgery, or basically you go back in and cut it back out and take it away, so that it doesn't become an infected site. You also could you could that's the worst case realistic
That
scenario.
sounds scary.
Yeah,
Uh,
and then the better or the lesser risks, which are common, would include just bleeding to not an extreme extent, but some bleeding, some oozing, pain, obviously, things like that. And then there's a chance that there's local infection. Not the whole free flap goes, but there's certain areas that need to be debrided or removed. Or worst case, or not a worst case scenario, but also not common, but a little bit more common than a failure of a free flap would be that it doesn't totally close the way you want it to, and there's still certain areas that may not be totally closed off. And in that case, you would have to do a remodeling of the free flap under another surgery to uh,
Close it completely.
help it close. Yeah.
Right. Right. So when I was talking to one of your colleagues, he said that usually for him at least, there's a 3 month gap between each surgery. So after I were to do the free flap procedure, I
Yeah.
would wait 3 months before. I mean, I don't even know what the next step would be. Obviously, it's up to the doctor in my case. But 3 months before a nose, 3 months before implants, and that sort of thing, right?
Right. So usually there's like a rule of 3 months kind of that we kind of go by, and that's basically the time of healing process. It's not a hard fast rule. Usually bone can heal, a broken jaw can heal in 6 weeks,
Right.
6 to 8 weeks, that kind of stuff. But especially given your condition, and there's a chance of it being what we call a or sorry, excuse me, a poor
Mm.
protoplasm. Protoplasm being a word meaning poor. Basically, think of it as the ground that we're trying to grow this stuff on. The ground is If the ground is a sand in the desert, it's not going to grow flowers, right?
Right.
It's so we know we're working on bone. That's what we call not virgin tissue. This tissue is damaged. It's already damaged.
Right.
So going in there, it's already under distress, and there's small molecules there that create pro-inflammatory processes. So when you go to lay down a new tissue on this area, there's a chance that it could cause an basically failure. Okay, it could cause inflammation, increased chance of not necessarily infection, but increased inflammation, or maybe it bleeds, maybe it doesn't work out, maybe it doesn't heal or fast. That's the big thing. It doesn't heal properly the way we want it to
Right.
in a proper fashion. So you have to give it good time. Is all I'm trying to say. So three
Right.
months is the rule that we usually say for the free flaps, and then after that you get you go to the next part. But really, that's kind of just like I said, it's not a hard fast rule. It's just a number that we throw out there to keep everybody happy. But
Right.
really, we watch it. We watch how it heals. It's like a nurturing event. It's a baby, if
Based
you
on the
will.
patient. Right.
Yeah, it's very very patient specific. Very
Okay.
patient specific.
Okay. So based on the conversations we've had, and going through all the steps like consults, insurance, and all that,
Yeah.
what do you personally think that the next perhaps like half a year, the next year or 2 years look for me? Do you think I have a decent prognosis in terms of getting these surgeries done at a reasonable chance of success?
Yes, yes, of course. I mean, there's a lot of the key is understanding what you're expecting from the surgery, though.
Okay.
So it's not that you're not looking at a brand like a a face before anything happened. It's
Right.
just not it's not realistic. It would be a wrong actually for any surgeon to tell you so, because they're lying. Simply, they're lying.
Right.
It's not the case.
Hmm.
But better from where we are, yes, that's the goal.
Okay.
And so you take it in stages. I know some people have had, I mean, God forbid you have to go through this, but I know some people have had on the double digits, I mean, dozens of surgeries, 18 surgeries with the team that I had worked with to get something just right, to redo something, to do this or that. And the guy looks slowly better. Some of them just look the same, and they don't really get much better, but they keep wanting something done, and I understand that. But eventually, people just get to a point where they're like, okay, I'm happy with this. And the big thing for you is that you need to get back your function.
Right.
The aesthetics we will improve on, but
Right.
once the function comes back, you got to think, what you want. But at the same time, it's like I assure you that a happier person is somebody that can eat without an issue, and
Right.
and certain things like this. Now, of course, everything else is a cherry on top, but the aesthetics of like the soft tissue won't ever be perfect. Looking at your nose even right now as we're talking won't be perfect, but it can be improved significantly.
Okay.
It can be improved significantly, especially the lower lip. You have soft tissue deficiency, so there
Right.
may need to be an additional radial forearm flap. Just a thought. I'm throwing this from the hip.
Right.
I would leave it to a vascular or a microvascular oral surgeon that would do this, but my recommendation would be you may even need an additional flap
For the
just
lip,
for the lower lip.
right? But it's obviously a much smaller flap than the oral
No, it's the
fistula, right?
same. It would be a small, yes, but it would still be the same procedure. It would just they would take a smaller cuff of tissue,
Right, right.
or they would tailor it more. But yeah, I would think a radial on your lower lip wouldn't be a bad idea to consider. So you have one radial for the top of your mouth and one for the lip. That's a possibility. You can't. This is not a procedure I would consider taking the muscle from the lower lip and stretching it over. I have told you about that procedure before, but I've done cases. I've tried to do cases like yours with pulling the lip, and it does not work. You cannot
Right.
release enough lip muscle from once you cross the 50% line. You're at 50% midline. Once you cross that line, you need to consider soft tissue from somewhere else. So in my mind,
Ah, I see.
so I would do that, and then for the nose, they could do several things, but again, that's another possible free flap. But if you had three free flaps and you had all these things reconstructed and you
Right.
had it all worked out, then you would see some significant improvements in your cosmetic. But again, it's never perfect. I have seen probably a rotational flap in your nose. Actually, the more I'm thinking about it, from the
Yeah.
midline of your. Did he tell you about this?
Yes. That's
Yeah,
that's the plan.
that's what I would do, a rotational flap
Right.
actually, not a free, because your rest of your nose is pretty what I would call virgin. It's not been messed with. Like this is all pretty good. It's
Yes.
just that one
It's
area,
just this part right here.
right? And there's not as much. It's very hard to find a vessel that you could just hook up to that lays the tissue there. It's
Right.
better to use a vessel from the top of part of your forehead,
A
basically
local flap.
a local flap. You
Right.
rotate it down
Uh,
from the top. So
yeah.
yeah. Hmm.
So from my understanding, all of these procedures are possible, but um, it's kind of like we have to look at it, step by step. You know, do this, and then based on how this goes, move on to this.
Right. Right.
Um, and I don't know, man. I was thinking, maybe we should discuss the finances of this kind of thing because, from my understanding, a lot of the reconstructive surgeries, even if some of them may be cosmetic, are at least my insurance do say that we cover it, or with the plan I have, we cover 90% of it.
Yeah.
But for things like dental implants, those can get really really expensive, and
They can.
dental
Yeah, they can.
dental insurance is a lot harder to come by and kind of convince them of this sort of case.
So in America, it just so happens that dental insurance is the fee for service is more because the dental insurances do not go through a Medicare route. First of
Right,
all, that's just a separate thing. I'm not trying to advocate for anything politically because I'm not saying that would work if you did that.
right,
I'm just trying to tell you that they are different species altogether. So you have dental insurance that will cover certain smaller things, but there's a lot of out of pocket there, just how the nature of it. And For better or worse, it's just the system we have. That being said, what usually ends up happening is that a lot of the medical stuff is covered, and then the dental stuff has to come out of pocket. But at least that allows you to save the money in the direction that it should be,
right.
or into one of the options. The dental implants, like you said, if you get them at a university setting, I've heard them. I'm not going to tell you, obviously, on interview an exact name for the person that offered the price that I'm talking about, but I have been able to see them offered for as low as 2,000 an implant, and that sounds crazy high for a lot of normal people that
Right.
listen to this for the first time. But that's low actually.
Is
2,000
it?
an implant is pretty discount. Okay,
Wow.
it's like 30% discount at
Okay.
least. Because if you go to, let's say, I mean, if you come to me, we would figure something out. But if you come to another guy like me that doesn't know your case and just hears about the situation, and was willing to and was charging you his baseline fee, not trying to upscale you, but just a middle of the road kind of shot, you're looking at $2,200 to $2,300
For tooth. For
per
implant.
tooth.
Right.
Yeah, per implant,
Wow.
and you need at least I've seen them as charged as high as 2,500 an implant, and you would need at least four to put an all-on four denture, fixed denture for your bottom jaw, and then you would need four more for the top jaw. I got to look at your images again, but you would need at least four more possibly for the top. That's an eight total. That's you're looking at a new car. I mean, you could drive a new BMW for that price.
Right.
So you got to be aware of the cost there. But the thing is that these if you get the medical, what you have the medical insurance, you get this stuff covered for the most part. and I'm talking from a medical standpoint, it's actually more expensive than the dental if you talk about it in raw numbers.
Everything,
Because yeah,
right?
medical by far, you're looking at
Even with
hundreds of
insurance,
hundred, not hundreds. I wouldn't say that much. You're looking at 50,000, maybe more.
right?
Probably, definitely more.
Right.
I would say definitely more than 50 or plus $1,000 for your ICU stay, plus your surgeries, plus your care and all that in the hospital.
Well,
And
that's without the insurance, though, right?
right,
Right.
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 So I'm just trying to put that
You're
in perspective.
comparing
So
the dental
right,
implants to the
right,
medical
yeah.
stuff,
So
right?
but that's the benefit of having insurance and
Right.
having it covered.
Right.
But the thing is that for yeah, I don't know what specifically you would want to know about the financing other than that, but that's
Yeah.
basically how that breaks down. And then so yeah, the money would be saving towards your dental bills basically is how you should be
Right.
thinking about it.
Okay. That should be the number one priority in terms of um, the money that I'm saving,
Savings.
right?
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, and yeah, I mean that's pretty much all the questions I can think of right now. Thank you so much, for editing that. And do you have any final thoughts on my case or anything like that that you'd like to share,
Uh,
perhaps?
I think uh, I think that as long as we're moving forward, I know that there's some couple doctors you got going on in California and stuff, and there's limitations on your insurance currently.
Right.
Um, as long as we're moving forward in a direction that's you got insurance now, which you didn't have 6 months ago. You
Right.
got you as long as you can get either a referral or set up in a way that they somebody says in California they're going to do your surgery, or maybe back to someone that I know.
Right.
Regardless, as long as we're moving in a positive direction there, you got a CT scan. I think got approved just recently, right? You
I
just had
did it.
another.
I did it. I sent you the
You did it.
results. Yeah.
Okay, so oh yeah, you did. You sent me the results page,
Right.
but yeah, as long as that is we're going in that direction, I think that you're gonna be taken care of. I would recommend. I stress though, trying to not rush it. There's no rush. Be understanding of that. That's what I have
Right.
to say is that don't be patient with the process. It could take years before you're back to where you want to be, but I think as long as you're moving forward, you're gonna have this thing. You could technically, in my mind, be at your best, like the best final, everything done.
Right.
Okay, um, I would say 2 to 3 years. Okay, 2 years, 2 to 3 years.
That's not bad.
So,
I'm down with
yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah. If at this pace, that's what I would say. Now that's me talking to you three in 2023, and I'm looking over at my clock right now. I'm talking to you in 2023, and you're telling me that you're going back in for a Botox in your lower lip or something to weaken it so that it lays the right way or something small. Then
Right.
that'd be a great conversation to be having with you because then we've already talked about all the big surgeries and they're all done.
Right.
So that's
Right.
what I'm trying to say. I'm hoping that you're going to get the big stuff done in the coming year. Um,
Yeah,
so
and then the minor touch-ups to improve appearance and stuff like that. And
right.
yeah, the last thing that I wanted to say is, you're actually a CS:GO streamer yourself, right?
I do. I have. I've been streaming for about a year. I have slowed down. I would say significantly. I stopped in the end of September because basically transitioning of location, but also got into game development and Unity and that kind of thing, and just kind of got away from streaming on a regular basis. I was doing some crazy long streams.
Right.
I was really intense with it, so I slowed it up. I'm gonna actually probably pop on a small stream tonight.
Okay.
First time in how many months? 4 or 5 months.
Right.
So it'll be interesting, but yeah, I enjoy it. I think it's a good experience, and there's definitely some cool people you meet. Met you on streaming on Twitch through my Discord,
Right.
and then there's also the fact that you just meet some cool people. I mean, you get some cool stories, you get some interesting stories. You help people out along the way. They help you out along the way. It's kind of a cool place. Twitch is kind of a very unique place for that reason. You can't really find like-minded individuals. I don't feel like all the time. I can't even walk down the street and find a Counter-Strike player if I wanted to. So
No.
Twitch, so Twitch is able to, allow us to connect in that way. And then there's other things that you'll see that actually connect. I know people now in my Discord that have three Canadians that all live within the same neighborhood of each other. They didn't know each other,
Oh yeah,
so
absolutely. Yeah.
it's crazy. But
Yeah,
anyway,
and just from knowing you, we actually it's coincidental. I never thought I would meet a facial reconstruction surgery to the game I play, and
that's crazy,
honestly,
actually. Yeah.
yeah, and also we have that connection with your family and all that, and
Oh yeah, yeah, that's true.
yeah,
You're Algerian as well.
yeah,
My
yeah.
wife is Algerian, so
Yeah, no,
it's
that's really cool. Actually, yeah, I got my Algerian shirt on right now.
I see
But
that.
yeah, it's awesome, man. Like, you understand the situation. We've been texting for months. If I didn't
Yeah,
come across you, I don't know where I'd be right now. I
yeah.
honestly have no idea. So it's awesome. It's great meeting you. And what's your Twitch handle again? Twitch.tv dash the surgery.
For shamelessly plugging me, it's twitch.tv / the surgeon,
Right.
and then like Loop, there's two underscores going on there.
Yep.
So there it is. It's just
uh,
the surgeon two underscores. So
Yep, all of his info will be in the description. Thank you so much for helping me not, just independent of him helping me for the surgery. He's been a great friend. We played a lot of CS:GO together, and yeah, thank you so much for doing this, Matt. Have a
I
great night.
appreciate it. All right, you too, buddy.
Peace out, guys.
All right.